Hey, welcome back to Blanchy Talks Watches. Today for review we have a HMT, but not just any HMT. This is a HMT White Pilot. This was actually a limited edition, one of 500 that were produced as a project watch on the Watch You Seek forum, also known as WUS, WUS. So for those of you who don't know, HMT was an Indian watch brand. At one point, they had over 90% of the market share of watches in India. Unfortunately, as people became more brand aware in India, they moved away from HMT being an Indian brand and moved to brands from other countries as a sign of status. So HMT sales plummeted and ultimately they closed their doors in 2016. So this particular watch is from 2013. As I said, it's one of 500 limited edition. So for a company that made many thousands, a run of 500 is quite small. It was on the What You Seek forum and it sold very quickly. HMT are a real favourite of the affordables subsection on What You Seek. I believe it's F71. They're just such an accessible way to get into mechanical watches that they are very popular. Okay, so some of the specs on this, obviously it has the white dial, which is textured. So you can zoom in there now. Yeah, you can see the lovely texture on the dial. It's almost like a honeycomb effect in the middle of the dial. Very nice. I love the way the light catches across it, almost like fish scales. It really pops out in the sun. Raised chrome indices. Again, nice and shiny. Stainless steel case. This has an in-house movement. It is the caliber 0231-A HMT movement. This was produced in 2013. As for the size, this, like most HMT watches, is quite small. I'll just measure now to show you exactly what size it is. So excluding the crown, you're looking at 34.5, give or take. Say 35 millimeters. Just quite small. This is a man's watch. This is a quote-unquote modern watch as well. 2013. It's not a vintage piece, so it is very small. Again, it's down to the styling and the taste for where it was produced. This is their standard size, but for current standards, it's very small. Even small for a lot of ladies' watches these days, but it was extremely popular when it was released. So the lug to lug, then let me see now, is 43. Again, quite small. As for the strap width, it is an 18 millimeters. So yeah, so it's showing up as, yeah, so 18 millimeters, showing up as just over 18 millimeters there. So the hands, which are blue and they are loomed, are unique to this watch. So it makes it stand out from many of the other HMTs out there. The caseback is etched, again denoting that it is a limited edition of 500. Some of the stats there as well. So it's stainless steel, water dust protected, not proof, shock resistant. This is an aftermarket strap, just a cheap leather strap. It came on a black strap, but I thought this just made it pop a little bit better. Funnily enough, this strap actually also comes from India. I used to buy them in bulk back when I bought and sold watches. You can get, not bad quality leather straps. I mean, it's not the best quality, you can see it's pulling apart there a bit, but I think this cost me something like $4 for 5 straps. So for what it is, it's very good quality. The movement is hand wind only, so not automatic, but that's fine. I didn't actually do the thickness, so I'll check that now. So it's just over 10 millimeters thick. So you'll have absolutely no problem with this getting under a shirt cuff. This watch is a great example of how you can dress up or down a watch. It looks brilliant on a NATO strap, or it looks equally as well dressed up on a more premium strap like a crocodile leather strap. HMT in general are amazing value for money. If you go onto eBay there and type in HMT, although they closed in 2016, you'll still see a huge amount of watches available. Many of them are not original, they're either Franken watches or just modified watches. What you'll see a lot is brightly painted dials. So if you see HMT that maybe don't have the raised indices and have, you know, a lime green or a cerise pink dial, chances are they've been repainted. Nothing wrong with them. I've had plenty of them in the past, like for, I don't know, $10 maybe, $20 max. It's worth a punt. I mean, it doesn't need to be original for that price. And it's just a really cheap way to get into hand-wound watches. They can be a nice way to try out smaller watches. You might be tempted by the trends that are getting smaller and smaller. As I mentioned before, the 36mm Rolex release was extremely popular. Although you'd be hard pushed to find one to try on in a dealer, so you might be as well off getting a cheap vintage piece. This is 35mm. See how it feels. See, is it tiny? See, does it look not too small? Does it fit you just right? And you really haven't lost nothing. It's still a solid watch. These they do keep going. I've seen a few stop, but the vast majority of HMTs I've had are just little workhorses. They tick away, no bother. As long as you keep them wound, they'll just keep going. The crystal on this watch is acrylic. So you can see the distortion as I turn it on the dome, which is quite nice. One issue with acrylic crystals though is they can scratch if you bump them, and you can kind of see there just at the 12 there's a few little grazes, and then just at the 4 there's a little bit of a chip in it. Another scratch from the 12 to the 1. It's not the end of the world. One huge advantage of an acrylic crystal is the fact that you can just polish out any scratches or grazes. So while you will get scratches more easily, I think if you've got an acrylic crystal on your watch, it's more a case of when rather than if you'll get a scratch. But with a bit of Polywatch or even some toothpaste, they can polish out quite easily. I might do a video in future of how to actually polish out acrylic crystals if anyone would be interested. I have a few that need polishing, so I might just set up the camera and film it for you guys. Now, this limited edition sold for $35 originally. That is insane. I know it's the going rate for HMT watches, but show me another limited edition watch with an in-house mechanical movement that you can buy for $35. This is absolutely insane. And look at this. It doesn't look cheap at all. Sure, I could do it a nicer strap, but it's just beautiful. This one needs a bit of a polish and a clean, but I've had it in my collection for years. No maintenance, no servicing, just wind it when I need it, leave it sitting in the box for 6 months, wind it, ticks away, no problem with timekeeping at all. Just amazing value. I bought this one new old stock from O'Dark 30. Kat is a moderator over on WUS, and she picked up a few extra ones to sell to enthusiasts at face value, which was very nice for her because I was late to the party and I was devastated that I'd missed it, so I was absolutely delighted to pick one up face value. I have seen them sell for more. They don't come up often. I know I went through a few years where I didn't wear it just due to the size, but being limited edition and then HMT closing down 3 years after the watch was produced just makes it so much more special. You know they're never going to repeat this model. So it does have a special place in my collection. It's my first limited edition watch as well, so it's not going anywhere. Okay, so I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but one issue with this watch is it is incredibly loud. See, can I hold it? Now, I doubt that's picked it up, but this is the only watch in my collection that you will hear ticking from across the room if it's left face up. It is by far the loudest watch I have. Now, I'm not saying it sounds like a jackhammer, but if you're sitting in a quiet room, you will notice the ticking. It's not a problem for most of us collectors. You know, if you have a problem with the sound of a ticking watch, you're probably not collecting watches. But for our poor partners who have to put up with our obsessions, leaving this one wound on the bedstand isn't ideal. And it's the only watch I've ever been told to take off in the middle of the night because it's ticking too loud. So keep that in mind. I wouldn't let that put you off, but it is just a funny little quirk of these cheap little watches. So I'm kind of going down a theme with the last couple of videos. Just get onto eBay and have a look. Have a look what's out there, used, cheap. Try something different. Like this content in the last video, this isn't my usual style of watch, but it is a very lovely watch. If the size was a bit bigger, I would absolutely rate this as one of my favorites in my collection. I do go through phases wearing it on and off. I've had it on the last few weeks and getting ready for this video. I hadn't had it on for a few months before that. I tend to wear it more in the summer. I would always be cautious of the waterproof capabilities of a HMT watch, so I'd advise against wearing them in heavy rain and the likes. They can probably take a shower, but why risk it? I'm just so used to the vintage ones that definitely couldn't. So I do often find myself looking in my watch box and thinking, why don't I wear this more? And then I put it on and I'll show you now. It is just a little bit on the small side. My wrist is 7¼ inches, and as you can see, it's just a little bit too small. It's not majorly too small. I can still wear it. It still looks great. Great story behind it if you do get any questions on it. And overall, it's a nice piece. Being 35mm, it is just a good bit smaller than my preference. I've mentioned in previous videos, I think 42mm is about my sweet spot. So 35 is a good bit short of that. I think if this was available in even a 38, 39mm, it would be absolutely perfect, and there's nothing else I'd change on it other than the size. So as I mentioned, there is lume on the hands, but to be honest, there's not very much of it. I won't even bother turning off the lights because that's kind of as good as you're getting. The minute hand lights up a little bit, the hour hand much less so. And that's kind of it. You're not going to be telling the time at night with this. Maybe if you walk in out of the sun, you'll get it for a few minutes, but for a dress watch, it doesn't really need to have lume. If it was a diver's watch, it'd be a different story, but I don't think it needs it. And to be honest, I'd probably prefer if it didn't have it. There you have it. One of the cheapest limited edition watches you can get, at least brand new. I'd love if someone could point me in the direction of a cheaper limited edition watch, especially 500 or less. I'd absolutely love to have a look at something of this rarity for this sort of price range. So let me know what you think in the comments. Again, any engagement really helps. So if you like the video, drop a like, subscribe below for more content. I have some great videos planned coming up, a few more builds, a few more reviews. If you have any suggestions of what you'd like, drop them in the comments, or you can drop me an email as well, and I'll see what I can do. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you again.